After a moment, I shook off the initial shock and looked up in front of me. I wish I had it. Before me.
I've always had extremely pleasant Halloween experiences. Never had anything bad happen to me on any Halloween as a child or as an adult. Have enjoyed Halloween holidays for the most part as a kid more than I do now, because now it's kind of big parties and stuff like that. I don't really do a whole bunch of that, you know, but I do like some of the candy that comes out. Now listen, we'll talk candy for just a second, all right? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups in the refrigerator. The best, all right? The best. They got to be the best. Now, there's some other good candy on Halloween. Just let me know in the comments what your favorite is. Because I got a lot of them, but that's got to be the big one right there. But, you know, there are a lot of horror movies that are centered around Halloween and stuff. We're probably going to be reacting to quite a bit of Halloween content this month because it is October, and that's a lot of the type of stuff that comes out. And I have a bunch of Halloween stories that I could probably share with y'all, but today we're gonna keep it light and we're gonna talk about candy. So let me know in the comments what your favorite candy is, guys. Other than that, we are gonna react to a story from Dr Nosleep today about why someone doesn't go outside anymore on Halloween. Make sure to head on over to his channel, guys. Click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and if you like reaction videos like this, make sure to subscribe to his channel as well. Let's get into the reaction.
I've always liked Halloween.
Yeah.
I loved to trick-or-treat as a kid, and as an adult, I enjoyed watching horror movies with my friends.
Yeah.
Carving pumpkins.
Right.
Well, a couple of years ago,
never got into.
My buddies even convinced me to go to a haunted house with them.
Okay.
It was a fun night just about every year, and I always looked forward to it. But I don't go out on Halloween anymore.
Right.
I stay inside.
How come?
With the blinds shut and the lights off.
Whoa.
And I think you'll soon understand why.
All right.
This all started 3 years ago. On October 30th. I was talking on the phone with a friend of mine who, for the sake of privacy, I'll call Jake.
Okay, Jake.
Jake was unpredictable, which was usually fun.
Right.
But sometimes got us into trouble, which is why when he invited me to a Halloween party that a good friend of his was throwing, I was a bit hesitant.
Yeah, you know, I'm with him on this, okay? Because like I said before, I don't really get involved in big parties and stuff like that. You know, I've had great times at parties before, but social gatherings now I like to be a little bit smaller because of one thing primarily, and that's noise. Maybe it's just because I enjoy getting to know other people, and in environments like that, I can't hear people speak. It's not because my hearing has gotten bad. I think my patience has just gotten bad. You know, back in the days, we'd be jamming at the club and stuff, and be like, "Hey, girl, I like your skirt." You're like, "What? You saw my shirt?" "No, I like your." You know what I mean? That nobody needs to go through that. Now, I like when the music is soft or whatever, you know, and you can say, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Daniel," you know, and you can, and people can speak and hear you, and it's great. I don't mind if the music's a little loud and you have to get close, but you know what I mean. It's just, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I don't know, y'all, but Halloween parties, I feel him on this.
Come on, man. What else are you gonna do tomorrow? You already said you didn't have plans.
Right.
He persuaded. Jake had a point. I've never really been one for getting drunk or partying.
Right.
Then again, I've never really been one for sitting at home by myself all night either.
There you go.
All of my other friends already had plans, and this might have been my only chance to get out on Halloween.
Okay.
As I weighed my options in my head, Jake let out a final, "Well?" I gave a short sigh and smiled.
Commitment.
"Yeah, sure,
We'll go.
I said.
All right.
Jake excitedly assured me that it'd be fun, and he told me he'd pick me up at 8 the next night.
Jake, you better not get us
Driving
in
to that
trouble.
party the next day, I couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. I didn't know anybody there except for Jake.
Right.
But knowing one person at a party is a lot better than knowing nobody at a party.
Infinitely
Jake
better.
made me feel a lot more comfortable that I'd be alone. I was going as Jack from The Shining, and Jake was going as Slash from
Oh, it's a
Guns N'
costume
Roses.
party. All right.
You ready to rock?
Most of them
He
are.
joked as we pulled up at the house. I nodded as we exited the car and walked into the house.
Lots
The
of people.
aroma of alcohol hovered heavily over the room like fog.
Dang.
And beneath it, the smell of marijuana flowed lightly through the house.
Now, you know, a little bit of light marijuana smoke has never bothered me that whole much to smell it, you know, in the air. But even as a smoker, I will say that environments like that, overwhelming cigarette smoke is very, very, very uncomfortable. I never liked to be in, even as a smoker, y'all, for years, I never liked to be in smoky places. They were just uncomfortable to be in. I can only imagine what non-smokers feel like in those environments.
In some rooms, it seemed like there was a body for every square foot.
Right.
Music
They're crowded.
lasted throughout
Loud.
the house. I couldn't tell if the music or the talking was louder. Jake introduced me to the guy who was throwing the party, who I'll call Mitch.
Okay.
We chatted for a bit, but it was only minutes before Jake and I were going over to get beers.
Right.
I didn't like to get drunk, but 2 late beers didn't do all that much besides helping me relax.
There you go.
The party just kind of dragged on, like a mediocre movie that you're only half paying attention to.
Right.
Jake was with me throughout, though I could tell he was a lot more drunk and having a lot more fun than I was.
Now, did Jake ask him to go just so he could have a sober driver? Because Jake drove there. I don't know if this is in the time period that you could just call an Uber or whatever, you know, but I know there had to be taxis or, you know, some sort of public transits. I gotta say, man, this situation is kind of looking like my boy Jake is taking advantage of him.
And after about 2 hours, I was getting bored.
Yeah.
The constant noise and uncomfortable heat from the crowd wore me down as well.
Yeah.
The moon was big that night, and it shone enough that I had a faint shadow. After walking several blocks, I noticed a forest to my left, one that extends all the way to my house, so I decided to cut through it to get home fast.
No, you crazy?
It was strange.
At night?
But something felt a little bit, well, off about it.
I mean, walking through the woods at night by yourself, even if the moonlight is good, there's so many things that could happen, y'all. It's not that we're afraid that murderers come out, because the likelihood of that happening is very, very low. You know, I'm talking about snakes, insect bites, traps, and not traps like people traps, animal traps. But you get your foot caught in a stray animal trap in the woods, guys, by yourself because you can't see. It's not gonna be pretty. Them things are not forgiving on your flesh, okay? Snakes either. You might never make it out the woods. And we're not talking about tropical rainforest, you know? It's just, you gotta be prepared. I hope he at least has a light.
I quickly shook that feeling off, however, deciding that it was nothing. The moon was casting faint shadows of the trees, long, thin branches. Brown and orange leaves littered the ground. The wind calmly blew through the trees, and I could hear an owl calling somewhere to my right. I walked down the forest trail in silence, but something stopped me in my tracks.
They got a little
There
trail?
was a jack-o'-lantern with a cheerful, carved expression sitting there on the side of the trail.
Okay.
I was confused,
That's a
to
little
say
weird.
the least.
In
Who
the
would
woods.
put a jack-o'-lantern out here? Who would they think would see it?
Right.
I kept walking, mystified by the strangeness of what I'd just seen. But I just chalked it up to the workings of someone with a bit too much Halloween spirit. As I continued down the trail, I noticed a flickering orange light ahead,
All right.
dancing on the surrounding trees and ground.
Maybe somebody got a little
When I
camp
got
going?
closer, I realized it was another jack-o'-lantern.
Oh.
But this one was different. Its face wasn't cheery like
Sinister.
the last one.
Evil.
It looked nervous, afraid, paranoid even.
Okay.
And not just in a cartoony, emoticon sort of way. It looked too real.
Oh.
I could feel the emotion by looking at its face.
Oh. Is that not a regular jack-o'-lantern? Is that a pumpkin monster or something?
I began to feel the way the pumpkin looked. Paranoid, I noticed my heart beat a bit faster. I looked
Getting a little
around and
scared.
behind me, kept walking, now keeping a quicker pace.
Right.
I can't explain why, but things around me began to seem more disturbing. The shadows of tree branches began to look more and more like outstretched fingers gnawing at the trail.
Start
The
getting more
wind
paranoid.
began to sound less like a whistle and more like an eerie, drawn-out
man.
scream.
You know, fear is one of these things that once you start feeling it, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger until you get relief. It's sort of like hunger when you think about it, because the longer you go hungry, the more hungry you become, the more you want food, the more drastic the situation becomes to the point of starvation until you get nourishment, right? It's like fear is just one of those instincts that it's really, really, really hard to get around without relief. It's crazy.
Noises started to sound more ominous, like the whole forest was out to get me. I thought that was bad, but what I saw next was the last thing I wanted to see.
Pumpkin monster.
A third jack-o'-lantern. This one bore a face that can only be described in one word, and that one word is terror.
Terror.
I could see it, I could feel it, I could practically taste it in my soul.
Oh my
I
god.
froze where I stood, jaw hanging open. My heart was racing, my lungs filled and emptied in short succession. I sped along, walking as fast as I could. All I wanted was to get home.
How close are you?
All I wanted was for this to be over. I was looking left, right, and over my shoulder.
He's panicking.
Constantly. Visions of a serial killer in a hockey mask danced through my mind. Hiding behind every tree, waiting to jump out and turn me into mincemeat.
Man.
I thought that maybe I was crazy. Maybe there wasn't anything to worry about. My mind tried to tell me that, but
Right.
I wasn't convinced.
It's hard.
As all these thoughts bounced through my brain, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't watching the path. Out of nowhere, like a flash of lightning, my foot caught on a root sticking out of the dirt.
Ouch.
I fell face down onto the cold, hard dirt. After a moment, I shook off the initial shock and looked up in front of me. I wished
Feet?
I hadn't. Before me, a mere foot in front of my face, was a jack-o'-lantern. Its face was pure shock and
Oh
horror.
my gosh.
It
Wait,
had an
that's in it?
axe chopped right into its head. There was blood dripping down from the wound.
Or something that
It
looked
was
like
real.
blood?
I could smell it. The metallic stench that blood gives off.
Real blood?
At that moment, I swear on my life that my heart stopped. I couldn't look away. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't breathe.
What the hell?
Only one thing could break me out of my trance of horror. The sound of footsteps rustling in the leaves.
Go.
Mere yards behind me.
Run.
Every fiber of my being told me to do one thing.
They trying to scare you.
Run.
Maybe. Or they trying to kill you.
I scrambled to my feet and ran faster.
Both
than
are good
I've ever
reasons
had
to
in
run.
My entire life. I don't think I could ever run that fast again.
Fear can make you
I could hear
fast.
footsteps running behind me the whole way home. I looked over my shoulder as I ran out into the street, but nobody was there.
Right.
When I turned back around to face my house, I saw something that made me sick to my stomach.
The pump.
A jack-o'-lantern on my porch
What the heck?
that said, "Welcome home." I rushed inside and called the police. They didn't find anything in or
I think I would
outside
have called the police
house.
before I went inside.
Nothing in the forest either. I can't explain what happened out there in the woods that Halloween night. But one thing is for sure. Someone or something was following me.
Maybe they were just
and
trying
it
to
knows
scare you
where I
too.
live.
You know? Oh my gosh, man. That the way fear and paranoia works against you like that, it's crazy. But I could totally empathize with what he was going through. You know, I watched quite a bit of horror content, as y'all might be able to tell. And I think that the scariest things for me that follow me out of the content are things that I believe have a higher chance of happening. So supernatural type stuff, paranormal type stuff, They have good shock value for jump scares, and their intrigue is built, and it really makes me want to follow stories and learn and figure it out and be entertained by all of this stuff. But stuff like home invasions and intruders and just creepy stuff that just gives you bad feelings are the type of stuff that I fear the most. And I often catch myself looking out the corner of my eyes into dark windows. I wake up very, very early in the morning. I'll give you a great example of what I'm talking about. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, okay? That's when my wife goes to work. It's early, but I get to bed early too. Anyway, make a long story short, I'm at my computer waiting for my voice to warm up so I can start doing reaction videos, so I can start recording and stuff. And I'll go and refill my cup of coffee after my initial first cup of coffee. Now, I'm all the way awake by the time I drank 1 cup of coffee. I consumed a little bit of content maybe. I go back to the coffee pot, and there is one of these diamond-shaped windows on my solid door, my solid front door, okay? And I catch myself peeking out the corner of my eye there. And I guess my imagination goes to a place where a face would be looking at me. It's not like I see a face. It's not like I'm imagining a face or anything like that. I'm imagining what it would be like if I saw a face. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just, it's crazy. When I was a kid, I think I saw somebody peering through the window at my house a long time ago, and I told this story as well. That, you know, it happened, and I woke my mom up and there was nobody there or anything like that, but it just, it makes me think back. Maybe that's some psychological trauma from when that happened to me as a kid. I really don't know, but the thought of always that creeps in my mind. And when I watch these videos sometimes and I see somebody peeping through a window, especially in the horror videos that are pictures and stuff like that instead of the animations, man, it can really get me. Yo, this was a great story though, right? Check out Dr. Nosleep. Awesome content, guys, as well as another couple videos that I reacted to him from here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.